Hey guys, it's Braxton from Spirited Systems. I'm the government account manager here. I'm a former paratrooper and a frequent student and instructor here at Direct Action Resource Center. And we're gonna go through some of my kit today. This is the helmet that I wear for pretty much everything at this point. I've narrowed it down to one helmet. This is a Fast SF made by OpsCore. It's light and the attachment methods are pretty universal as far as industry standard stuff goes. Front to back, these are Acton Black DTMVGs. They're basic binocular night vision system. Articulation, something I like, on a Wilcox mount and a Wilcox shroud. On the side, this is an S&S Precision Max mount with a vampire head and clicky cap from Surefire. I am super big on having not just a helmet light, but a helmet light that I can manipulate. So whether you're umbrella lighting or your baseboard lighting, or you actually want to use it as a task light looking forward, this thing has been super handy. It's a pricey item, but it's something that I think is definitely worth the money. This is a Hellstar 6. I don't recall which variant it is, but I use this for either more dangerous maneuver stuff, admin tasks. I'm not a free fall guy by trade, so this is very much ground-based, but I think it has a place if it's something you need for live fire stuff. OpsCore amps for ear pro. Down lead is off if I'm not running comms. I hate radios, so I'm not gonna run comms if I don't have to. And this is just an OpsCore counterweight. Help my neck out a little bit. Friendly identifier there. And then I keep my Seaburn chin strap extender hooked to the cable for the amps. So if we run gas masks, I know this thing is always anchored to my helmet. And I don't have to worry about keeping this with my gas mask or did I bring it? It's just always right here. Kind of related to the helmet, also headborne, just iPro. I would recommend wearing iPro, especially if you're doing stuff indoors. Night vision is not necessarily iPro, even if you see me do that sometimes. I guess one thing I left off are these focus caps. So these are made by a company called Focus Research, I believe, PHOKUS. And these are just a flip style with an aperture, and they come with little inserts so you can make the aperture larger or smaller, let more or less light in. I prefer these to the irises. I think the irises end up spinning my objective lenses and messing up my focus. These, it's just on or off. And you can see that I run the largest aperture, so with no insert. So if I go inside and there's lots of illumination, lasers flying everywhere, I will just close these and get a lot better depth perception, a lot better focus. It's not good enough to read with the biggest aperture open, but it is good enough for anything you would need to do, like hands-on with another person. This is the best compromise to me. So this is what I prefer to run as far as focus caps on a helmet, or on night vision, I should say. Moving on to the rifle. This is a 10.3 URGI made by Geisley. So it's effectively the new Mark 18 in configuration. It's a Surefire Mini. This is on top of a 3 or 4 prong. So this is on top of a 4 prong. Not that I think there's really any performance difference that I know of. I like a short can, I like a short gun. This is short enough that at my height, I can take a knee with this rifle, with it slung and go hands-free and it doesn't hit the ground. So I brought this one out just because this is kind of my everything rifle. If I don't know what I'm gonna do, this is the one I'm gonna bring. This is good in the house, it's good outside for general patrolling tasks, lacking in muzzle velocity, but a lot more fun to carry around. Mod light, and then Maul C1 Plus, big on the Maul. I'm partial to the Maul mainly because of the switches and the propeller mechanism versus having to mess with like the focus on the front of an emitter. And then I'll just run a hot button to activate the light. So I've got kind of this triple inline button setup. This is pretty much what I have on all my rifles that have them all, is I'll run it this way. So this is the optics package on here is a T2 made by Aimpoint and a Razor 1-6. The T2's on an Arasaka mount offset at 45 degrees, if I'm not mistaken, just to get some more clearance off the scope itself. So it's tall enough and it's far out enough that I can shoot passive with a gas mask, or excuse me, passive or with a gas mask, or both, I guess. And then the Razor 1-6 is my primary optic, my primary day optic. I'm partial to the 1-6 over the 1-10. I know a lot of other people feel that way. I actually ended up trading a 1-10 for this. This is in a LaRue mount that's probably even older than the scope. Other than that, ambi safety, and then the ready catch is something that I'm partial to. So this is a replacement for your magazine catch, and it has a little wire that runs behind your bolt catch. So when you press in on your magazine release, it activates the bolt catch, and you are able to lock your bolt to the rear. So if you're clearing out at matches, clearing out after live fire runs, or you are fixing malfunctions, this keeps you from having to do the two-hand against the hip ping pong paddle deal. So it's kind of expensive for being such a small part, but it is super handy, and you don't have to run something like a bad lever, which arguably is dubious safety-wise. Moving on from the rifle, go into the plate carrier. We'll start with a breaching shotgun so we can get this off of the carrier and move it around a little better. So this started its life as a Remington TAC 14, if I'm not mistaken, and eventually got turned into a short barrel shotgun or an AOW, whatever it was. So took off the bird's head grip, put on the old Packmeyer like revolver style grip, and replaced the plate here with this little GG&G loop with an HK hook. HK hook is loud. Finding stuff for breaching shotguns is just not super easy. It's definitely an underserved market. And this is part of a sling made by 215 Gear in Virginia Beach, if I'm not mistaken. So that was kind of the plug and play setup I went with. And I'll talk about the attachment when I pick up the carrier. But yeah, it's a shotgun. And while we're talking about the shotgun, so it's attached via a magnet. So this is just a really, really strong rare earth magnet, and it is actually a Tactical Tailor Malice clip from who knows how long ago, with a ton of tape securing it to there, just so I can attach it directly to the cummerbund and I don't have to get some specialty product. If you are wearing a magnet, I would be aware of the strength of these. You will stick to catwalks and pillars and other things like that, or you will pick things up. So something to be aware of when you don't have the shotgun on there. And even if you're running a magnet, I would recommend running a secondary retention system. So just a simple catch if you like the actual like horseshoe style catch systems, or if you want to just run a bungee style catch like this. This is something that the Adam Holroyd made for me. It's just a loop with a buckle and some 3/16 inch shot cord, and there's a chasm buckle on the front of this carrier. So you can kind of see how this will wrap over the shotgun, buckle in, and even if the magnet fails or something peels the shotgun away from me, it's gonna prevent it from like slinging far away from my body. And then the final system of retention is this sling is also hooked to the cummerbund underneath my back panel, just via Grimlock. So very much something that I just put together myself, but it's been pretty secure so far. Moving on from the shotgun, start with the front of the carrier. So this is a brunch box. This is what I run as my IFAK in a hanger configuration. I do leave the buckles on there, and I added a buckle. So it's gonna come out of the bag with one split bar repair buckle. So I sourced another one instead of running it through the Tri-Glide, and just taped it on there so they don't bang together. And I actually leave the waist strap in the front pocket. So if I want to take this off and I want to wear it without my carrier, or I'm wearing a chest rig and I don't want to have to pack another IFAK, I will just tear this off and put it on the waist strap. So kind of like the Seaburn chin strap extender, I will just keep everything together. That was the main appeal of the brunch box to me as far as being convertible. Obviously I'm not using these charge loops on my IFAK right now, just kind of something that's left over. Placard, moving from the sides in. These are just some old multi-tool flashlight pouches. I think these are from ATS. I've had these for a long time. So there's Leatherman Wave in there. And then on the other side, this is a handheld Surefire Vampire. So the one on my helmet is don't remember the model, but it's only high modes. The handheld, you can do like a quick double tap and get it to move to a low mode. So this is a better task light head to me. So that's why I put that one on the handheld. So on the front of the carrier here, I have always run some kind of double stacked system, not necessarily always 6 mags straight across the front, but whether it's a CCS or it's some kind of elastic panel like this one, I like storing a lot up front where I can get to it, especially because I don't like wearing a belt super often. Back to the shotgun. There's no shotgun rounds on this kit. That is something that I traditionally keep on my belt in either some sort of elastic insert or another like enclosed pouch with organization. So if someone catches that there's no shotgun rounds on here, that's where they are. So elastic panel up front, it's not always loaded out with magazines. It is nice that I can load them out with more magazines if that's called for. This is usually, if we come out to Darcy for anything that has to do with counterterrorism, this is kind of what I'll load it out with. So there's some writing tasks involved with some of your interior stuff. You might trade out a Sharpie for map markers. This is just what's kind of in here right now. VS17 is always handy. I probably won't ever leave without that. And then this is just a particular Chemlite throwable on a little key ring. I would not recommend running bundles you want to rip Chemlites off of these. You will break them. But for keeping little throwables together, this makes them easy to pull out of pouches and keep them all together. Then magazines. This is not the only tourniquet on this kit. I do keep one fully enclosed on the inside of this at the top. But I do like having at least one accessible, and this keeps it exposed, accessible, but kind of protected by everything around it. There's more on the belt that we're not going to show in this video, but this is kind of my preferred method with the Mark V. If I don't have to carry 6 mags and I have room to stick a tourniquet in there, I will just wedge it between my left and right magazine. On the shoulder, I just leave this Sunto compass. This is something that I picked up from somebody a long time ago. Again, same thing as the Seaburn extender, like anchoring stuff to your kit so you don't leave without it. It's just always here. It's not something that bothers me. Super thin strap, so even if I don't want it on my wrist for some reason, it is always there. And I guess the last thing that's on here, nothing new, just a little Spuds squeegee for wiping off lenses. I like to keep it away from my shoulder, but somewhere where I can deploy this and like actually get to things without having to bring, you know, my rifle optic like up to my neck or something. Cummerbund on my left side, which for me is my non-firing side. Spud, sometimes there's throwables in here, sometimes there's magazines in here. It just depends, everyone's favorite reason. But right now there's just gloves. Those are Mechanics 0.5 millimeters. They are super, super thin. You will wear them out. This is actually a pretty new pair. They're not touchscreen compatible, if I'm not mistaken, which is not a huge factor for me. But those are my preferred gloves. I like the 0.5s. Then moving back on the cummerbund here. So there's side armor here. There's both soft armor and hard armor. There's Hesco 3110s in here to match the 3810s that are inside the carrier. And then there's a soft armor 5x7 panel just to close a little bit of the gap with the soft armor bag cap, keeping it in there. And then this weird little arrangement is a GP Tall with just a piece of shock cord and a cord lock over it. So GP Tall hangs down off the cummerbund. So if I'm not using this for anything or I want to make it more compact, I'm storing something small in there, I will fold up the GP Tall. I will take this shock cord, pull it over the top, and cinch it down. So the main purpose this serves is just to kind of clear my belt line. So if I don't need as much storage anymore, I'll just use this to clear my belt line. And you can do this at home with shock cord and a cord lock, which you've probably got laying around if you buy stuff from us regularly. Nothing in there right now. It's very often just for things that I need to carry for a specific class or for a specific training event. but it is handy to have GP space on there, especially if you don't need something else there. Right side of the cummerbund is slick, other than the magnet and the shotgun sling that's anchored to it, and obviously matching hard armor and soft armor on that side. The rear of the carrier, this is an assault back panel core with the GP flap, and there's a recovery handle up top. I will show you something weird that I do with my recovery handles that's personal preference. This is a mod that I would recommend doing with an extreme level of care and testing. So the recovery handle is meant to deploy, but depending on what you're doing, or if you're wearing packs a lot, you can work yours out if you are hard on this thing, because you've now used the Velcro on the back of your LV-119 to secure the back panel itself. So you've kind of robbed the recovery handle of its anchor point. So I will take layer by layer tape and just increase the friction a little bit that these legs have with the carrier until it gets to a tension that I think is going to keep it in there, but it's still going to deploy easily when someone wants it to deploy. GP flap, I usually leave completely empty, just so whatever someone else wants me to carry, they can put in there. Occasionally there's inserts in here, but most of the time I will just leave the GP flap empty, because if they're working off of my back, they're kind of the ones that need to pack what's going in there. Then main compartment, and right now obviously the punch through is put away. I've seen some guys put shotguns in that pass through. That's up to you. I would just encourage you not to do that with a loaded shotgun at the very least, but it might hit you in the back of the head. So something to consider. Other than that, there's not a ton on this carrier, and that's really by design. Obviously, there's the BFC for the recovery handle. I just leave it anchored to my cummerbund if it's not attached to a belt. Other than that, that's about it for my kit shakedown. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.